I'm Zerline.
And I'm Reiss.
And we're founders of Vausages.
So what was it that made you start Vausages?
So what made us start Vausages was I literally had a dream that I was serving hot dogs at a festival, and we were both at a point in our life where we really wanted to do something purposeful, and we looked at each other and we thought we can actually do a hot dog stall. We can achieve that. We can put our heads together. We can really nail it. And here we are today. We're still doing markets. We've been festivals serving our hot dogs. We've served many hot dogs, made lots of sausages. But yeah, I think it was just that initial kind of dream that sparked something within that made us really think, you know what, we could actually do something like this. And it being vegan as well, I think we were in that transition ourselves to think, you know what, we're on our journey of turning plant-based and we want to save animals and look after our health. And the sausage had developed over time to really fit that niche as well, because we wanted it to be a healthy sausage from the get-go. So I just think it was a dream that just started to get bigger, and once that ball started rolling, it was just infinite, really.
Yeah, and I think for me personally, I'd always known I was going to have a business since I was a kid. I'd sell sweets at school, had a little clothing line with my friend, and you know, like I say, from a young age I knew that, you know, having my own business was going to be what I wanted to do. And like Zerline said, we were at a point in our life where we were at a bit of a crossroad, really. And you know, I've been working for my dad. I'd worked in hospitality. I'd done all these different things, and you know, it just wasn't satisfying me. And I really knew that I was ready to start working for myself. We didn't know what we were letting ourselves in for. We were very naive, but without that naivety, we would have never, you know, we never would have gone and done what we did. So yeah, it's just been one big learning experience.
And you touched on it already, but what were you both doing before you started the business?
So I was just working at Costa. Previously to that, I worked as a chef. I worked in many restaurants, and I worked at Birmingham Council House as well. So I got quite a lot of experience in being banqueting suites as well as small independent restaurants. So that's how I gained quite a lot of my hospitality knowledge, really.
Yeah, for me, my first job I got in sixth form. I was 16, working as a waiter in a brewer's fair, basically a chain pub. And I did that for a few years. I worked in another gastro pub as well at one point. What else did I do? Worked with my dad for a little bit. And I worked in an office for a little bit, actually, doing mortgage processing, which I realised I absolutely hate. You know, I'm quite ADHD, and I'd fall asleep sitting in the chair because I wasn't stimulated. I couldn't sit still and do repetitive tasks. I just couldn't do it. So I just had to, get into doing something a lot more sort of stimulating again. So once we started this, it was very stimulating, to say the least. So yeah.
And on that journey, what would you say is your biggest struggle, or what were your biggest struggles?
So my biggest struggle within Vausages was 2019, and it was our first festival run, and we really didn't know what we was letting ourselves in for, to be quite honest. I think we had 7 festivals that year and crammed all into the summer period, probably from May till August. And there was this two festivals that were pretty much back to back, and me and Reiss were making all these changes to the stall and trying to look after all the staff and figuring out all the logistics of everything. And we were literally running on 4 hours of sleep every single day, and we was driving to this one festival with 4 hours in the tank, and we're setting up. And there was good vibes, we was just setting up what we normally did, but me and Reiss, because we were the directors, the main people, we have a lot more responsibility than anyone on that team. And I think we was packing, setting up the store, and there was a point where I was holding a piece of metal trying to put our frame up, and basically my fingers got trapped within these 2 pieces of metal, and they basically got smashed. And I've never screamed that much. The whole festival was like, what the hell was that noise? And it was a proper shock to the system, because previously to that, as I was doing it, I knew what I was doing was wrong, because I was holding this piece of metal
It's basically two flat pieces of metal, and the one was getting sledgehammered into the other.
So I
and
knew
it
the accident
crushed
was
the
about
finger.
to
It was
happen,
horrible.
and I got distracted. I went back to it, and I went back to the exact same position, even though I knew that was an accident waiting to happen. Happened and screamed, got straight to the hospital, and I think I had a realisation when I was in that waiting room, just thinking, I've not looked after myself. I'm running at a burnout, and I just completely and utterly had a wake-up call.
And that all happened at like 9 o'clock at night, and we hadn't even set up the stall still. So then we went to hospital, came back, bare bones, got the stall together. Festival was starting the next day, so we had to like get up extra early, set the rest of the stall up, and it wasn't the best start to the weekend.
So that was definitely like my lowest point. But we've had many challenges. Like that was probably my extreme one. Do you think you've got a low point?
Off the top of my head, I mean, just generally like, I don't know, like all the different hats that you have to wear, running your own business, and like learning how to do so many things out of pure necessity. There's no choice. It's not like you can just leave it and like go home at the end of the day and forget about it. It's like you've got to either complete that task, or there's going to be a gap in the business, or something's going to go wrong. So it's just constantly being forced out of your comfort zone. So there's been loads of individual situations. I mean, there's been festivals where, I mean, one thing that people don't really know is how rogue festivals actually are. So you're there out in the field, and you get somewhere, the security themselves are the people doing dodgy stuff. So it's like you literally don't feel necessarily safe. Like, who do you turn to if something's going wrong? And you've got cash in the till, you don't know who's who and what's going to happen. And we had this one festival, I'll never forget it. I won't say the name of the actual event, but the security came to us at the start, and he said to us, he was like, just one thing before you start, guys. He was like, make sure that you've got no knives on the front of your counter. We had some trouble last year. And I was like, and that whole festival, it was about, I can't say where it is, but we had literal like gangsters around the site doing mad stuff, riding in golf buggies, and you were thinking you had to be watching your back. And not that was necessarily a hard point, but it's one of them points where you're thinking, I can't back out right now, but I'm here, and I was just got to kind of deal with it. But it's a bit of a crazy industry.
In contrast to your biggest struggles, what would you say your biggest wins are?
Personally, I've really been able to watch myself grow. Like, even doing this interview, I think a few years ago would be like a nervous wreck. Being able to talk to different people and getting to meet so many like-minded people, like the traders, and like just really good business connections, like that has just been amazing, because there's so many great people out there, and owning a business, we've managed to connect with thousands, and I think that for me has been amazing. But we've had things like getting into some really good festivals like Vegan Camp Out, like that was amazing when we first got there, and it was like just everything we'd ever worked for. It was like all our dreams come true, like working for this beautiful festival with a really great meaning. Changing like the way people eat was just perfect, really. So my personal win was definitely meeting people and doing a festival like Camp Out, really.
Yeah, and that was on a side note, that was a bit of a crazy story in itself, in that, basically we started in the May 2018, the start of August, Jordan from Vegan Camp Out calls us and he says, our hot dog trader's just dropped out, can you come and help? And so last minute we put everything together and just went and did it, and 3 vegan camp outs later, we're about to do our 4th one, and it's an amazing experience. But that and all the other festivals, I mean, this, what we're doing right now, it's a lot of work, this whole campaign, but I've got a feeling that what's about to come is also, I mean, it feels like a highlight right now, but once all this works out the way and we start reaping the rewards of it, it's gonna feel like a big weight off our shoulders, really.
Can you tell me about your visions for the future?
Well, we have lots and lots of visions, to be quite honest. For the sausage itself, we really, really focus on the health side of it. So we want to make sure that we've got a product that is healthy for us. There's no bad chemicals in there that are toxic to us. We really want to be transparent with everything that we put in there to you guys, because there's a lot of these big corporate manufacturers that like to hide these bad chemicals, So yeah, that's a huge focus point, and the development of that and the texture and the taste, like main focus. The unit, making that like our eatery, and really start like just putting all our hard work and ideas into this one space. I'm just really excited for, because the amount of things we've got on our ideas board just keeps getting bigger and bigger, and I just can't wait to share what we have.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that we also want to do is keep on developing the festival concept as well, and without kind of giving too much away, we've got some ideas in mind. We already feel like it is definitely the ultimate vegan hot dog, but we're going to be taking things to the next level in the next kind of couple of years. So yeah, I think as a business, like we've got obviously the festival rig, we've got the factory, the sausage itself. I mean, one thing with the sausage as well, aside from like, you know, trying to use whole food ingredients, removing as many nasties as we can over time as we develop the recipe, we're trying to keep to authentic sausage recipes. So for example, we've just upgraded our Mexican chorizo recipe. We're using a trio of, you know, Mexican chilies that we're getting in, properly toasting them, making this paste, and we're using the traditional sausage methods and recipes, but without the meat, obviously. So, and that's something that hasn't really been done until now. So we're kind of, you know, innovating in that sense, in that we're replicating traditional recipes but vegan. So, yeah.
And we also really want to work with different businesses as well. Like, there's so many great vegan businesses out there, and we'd love to collaborate with them and just really kind of get all our ideas on a plate and just game change the whole world.
Yeah.
Industry.
and then like Vausages aside, like for us, like forever, we're not actually going to be obviously running the same business for the rest of our life. That's not actually our vision. So, you know, when it comes, whether it's 10 or however many years away, you know, we want to start doing eco properties as well. That's something that, you know, the whole idea of being able to create a self-sustained environment where you basically want to buy land, create property that's completely off grid, you know, better for the planet, growing our own food, all that kind of stuff. So building the environmentally conscious community is something that for the further future we're really, really passionate about.
How do you find working together as a couple?
It's like Marmite, really. Like, there is some brilliant highs and there's some brilliant lows. I think like the initial reason why we started this business is because we wanted to spend more time together, because we love each other's company. But sometimes it's hard to have that separation, like between work life and relationship life. So it does get very hands-on at the moment while we're running this campaign. There's not really a difference between relationship and work relationship, but we know that this is only temporary, and once this is over, like, we can start to take a little step back a bit. But I love it and I hate it at the same time. Like, I love spending time with you. It gets a bit difficult when there's like a decision to make, but we are getting 100% better.
It's like
learning to communicate.
It's like a communication, like, absolute crash course, because you know, like, your filter's not there because you obviously we are closer to each other than we are anybody else, but then because of that, it's like learning to be compassionate and not like bite each other's head off. And so it's like the best training ever for actually being able to like bite your tongue and communicate effectively. It's like when we first started, if we disagreed, it'd be like, you know, you just couldn't come to a conclusion. Whereas now, like, we're really like starting to learn how to communicate on a deeper level, really. But other than that, it's.
I think it's really good as well, because you've got your own strengths and I've got my strengths, and we work really well together in terms of that. And we're still learning and we're still growing as individuals. But yeah, it's like Marmite. It's literally like Marmite, but I love you. But yeah.
And the final question that everybody wants to know: what is the blue stuff?
Well, what is the blue stuff? So it's not blue cheese. It's definitely not blue cheese, but it's our garlic and herb aioli, and we've tested and tried the recipe, and it's our blue garlic and herb mayo, and we love it. And the secret ingredient is
blue spirulina. So it's a type of algae that obviously comes out of the ocean, so it's all natural, and yeah, it just gives this bright blue pigment that you just wouldn't think you could get without artificial colours. So the idea literally came to us all at once. We were doing the logo and we were going to have like this mustard on the hot dog, and ketchup and mustard, and I think the graphic designer was saying like, oh, I can't get this to work, like I don't know about the colours, and I was like, it all just came to me at once, garlic and herb, blue mayo, and then we just went from there. But we use like fresh herbs out the herb garden, and yeah, it's again, it's this recipe we've been developing over time, but it is like chef's kiss. It is really, really good.
Wait there, sorry, I don't know if I messed up. If you want to get in touch, then be sure to head to our Instagram pages or our Facebook, or you could email us as well on hello@vausages.co.uk.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, you can subscribe by clicking the link below.